She knelt in the rain-slicked alley, breaking bread for children with eyes too old for their faces, never seeing the shadow that had followed her for weeks, or the ancient king who wore it. The bakery threw out bread every Thursday night. Iris knew this because she had timed it, planned for it, waited in the cold for the manager to set the bags by the dumpster and turn away. She was 32 and invisible. The kind of woman people looked past in grocery stores. Plain face, plain clothes, plain life. She worked data entry at a shipping company and went home to an apartment that never felt warm no matter how high she set the heat. But on Thursday nights, she became someone else. Someone needed. She had found them by accident 3 months ago. Children huddled beneath the overpass on 5th Street, too still, too quiet. 6 of them, ranging from maybe 5 years old to 12. They didn't beg. Didn't cry. They just watched her with eyes that gleamed strangely in the dark, like animals caught in headlights. Now she came every week. Across the city, in a mansion that had stood for 200 years, Dorian stood at the window and watched the sun set. He did not need to breathe, but he sighed anyway. Old habits. Human habits. Around him, his council murmured about territory disputes and rogue vampires in the northern woods. He heard none of it. His mind was in an alley on 5th Street. He had not meant to care. Had not meant to follow her that first night when she knelt in the dirt and offered bread to his greatest shame. The children he had sired and abandoned. The half-blood offspring his own laws deemed unworthy of his protection. They carried his blood but not his name. Cursed to belong nowhere. Too vampire to be fully human. Too human to survive his world. And yet this woman, this stranger, fed them. He had been watching her for 67 days. His second in command, a vampire named Cashin, stepped beside him. "My lord, the council awaits your judgment." Dorian's jaw tightened. "Tell them I will decide tomorrow." And tonight? Tonight, he would return to the shadows of 5th Street. Tonight, he would watch her kneel again. Tonight, he would punish himself with the sight of something he could never touch. He said nothing. He never did. But as the council filed out and darkness swallowed the mansion, Dorian felt the pull. The same pull that had drawn him to her every Thursday for months. He told himself it was about the children. That he just needed to ensure they were safe. He knew he was lying. Iris locked her car and pulled her coat tighter. The bag of bread sat heavy in her arms, along with 3 containers of soup she had made that morning. She did not have much money. But she had enough for this. The alley waited ahead, dark and damp. And somewhere in that darkness, small faces would turn toward her like flowers to the sun. She did not notice the figure on the rooftop above. She never did. The children emerged from the shadows like they always did. Silent. Cautious. The smallest one, a girl with dark curls and silver-flecked eyes, reached Iris first. Iris smiled and knelt, her knees pressing into the wet concrete. "Hello, sweetie. Are you hungry?" The girl nodded. "I brought soup tonight. Chicken and rice. And fresh bread." One by one, the others appeared. A boy with hollow cheeks. Twin girls who never separated. An older boy who always stood watch. A teen with angry eyes who took food but never said thank you. Iris never asked their names. She had tried once, and they had scattered like startled birds. She opened the containers and began to serve. That was when the scream cut through the air. Iris's head snapped up. A woman stood at the mouth of the alley, her face twisted in disgust. "Get away from them! Are you insane?" Iris stood slowly, confused. "I'm sorry. Those things aren't children. The woman's voice climbed higher, shrill with panic. They're demons. Monsters. Everyone knows to stay away from them. The children shrank back, fear flooding their strange eyes. Iris stepped forward, placing herself between the woman and the kids. Her voice came out steady, cold. They're children. And they're hungry. They're cursed. Half-dead things that shouldn't exist. Then go. No one asked you to stay. The woman's eyes went wide with fury. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling someone. The church. The authorities. Someone needs to deal with this. Iris's heart hammered, but she did not move. Did not step aside. And from the rooftop above, Dorian felt something he had not felt in 3 centuries. Fear. Not for himself. For her. He moved without thinking. One moment he was shadow, the next he stood at the alley's entrance, directly behind the woman. His presence filled the space like a dropped stone fills silence. The woman turned and froze. Dorian was beautiful the way a blade is beautiful. Tall, impossibly pale, with black hair that fell past his collar and eyes the color of spilled wine. He wore centuries of power like a second skin. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Leave. The woman's phone clattered to the ground. She ran. Iris stood perfectly still, her breath caught somewhere between her lungs and her throat. The man in front of her radiated danger. Everything in her body screamed to run. But the children did not run. They moved toward him. The smallest girl whispered a single word that shattered the night. Papa? Dorian's expression cracked. Just for a second. But Iris saw it. The flash of grief so raw it looked like pain. He did not answer the child. His eyes locked on Iris instead. You should not be here, he said quietly. Iris found her voice. It shook, but it came. Neither should they. But here we are. Something flickered in his gaze. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. Behind her, the children waited. Caught between the only 2 people in the world who had ever seen them. And for the first time in 67 days, Dorian stepped into the light. Iris took a step back. Then another. Her hands trembled as she clutched the empty soup container. Who are you? Dorian remained still, reading her fear like a language he had spent lifetimes learning. Someone who should have intervened sooner. You called them, you said Papa. They know you. They do not know me. They know what I am. And what are you? The question hung between them. The children watched, silent witnesses to a confrontation that would decide their fate. Dorian could have lied. Should have lied. But something in her eyes, something in the way she had placed herself between threat and innocence, made him choose truth. I am their father. And I have no right to them. Iris's breath hitched. She looked at the children, then back at him. The pieces were assembling into a picture that made no sense. You abandoned them. Yes. They're starving. Alone. Hiding like animals. Yes. Her voice rose, anger flooding the fear. And you just watch? You just let them suffer? I have no choice. Everyone has a choice. Dorian moved then, so fast she gasped. He was in front of her in a blink, close enough that she could see her reflection in his unnatural eyes. Close enough to smell night air and something older. Something not alive. I am the Vampire King, he said quietly, each word deliberate. I made laws to protect my kind. No half-bloods. No weakness. No ties to the human world. I broke those laws when I loved their mothers. These children are the consequence. If I claim them, I invite war. If I protect them openly, I am branded traitor to my own throne. Iris stared at him. Vampire. The word should have sent her running. But the children had not run. And something in his voice was not threat. It was confession. So you do nothing? I do what I can from the shadows. I keep them alive. I make sure no vampire harms them. But I cannot give them what they need most. What's that? His eyes softened, just barely. To be seen. To be wanted. The words landed on Iris like stones. Because she knew that hunger had lived it her whole life. She swallowed hard and turned away from him, back to the children. They had not moved. 6 small faces watched her with something that looked dangerously close to hope. This is insane, she whispered. Yes, Dorian agreed. I should leave. Forget I ever saw any of this. You should. But neither of them moved. The oldest boy, the one with angry eyes, finally spoke. His voice was rough and used. She comes every week. She doesn't hurt us. Dorian's gaze shifted to the boy. His son. One of many he had sired and could not claim. I know. You've been watching her. Yes. Why? It was the question Dorian had asked himself every Thursday for 67 days. Why follow her? Why torture himself with the sight of someone doing what he could not? He looked at Iris. Really looked at her. Plain, trembling, terrified, but still standing between him and the children like she had any chance of stopping him if he meant harm. Brave. Foolishly, impossibly brave. Because she is kind, he said finally. And I had forgotten what that looked like. Iris turned back to him, something shifting in her expression. The fear was still there, but beneath it, something else stirred. Curiosity. Maybe even understanding. If I keep coming, she said slowly, will they be safe? From everyone but my world. And my world is beginning to notice. What does that mean? Dorian glanced at the mouth of the alley where the woman had run. It means tonight changed things. It means you are no longer invisible. And neither are they. The weight of his words settled over her. She should run. Should forget this. Should go back to her small apartment and her invisible life. But when she looked at the little girl with dark curls, the one who had called him Papa, she knew running was not an option anymore. Then we have a problem, Iris said quietly. Dorian almost smiled. Almost. Yes. We do. The rain started 10 minutes later. Not a drizzle, but a downpour that turned the alley into a river. The children pressed against the wall, trying to shield themselves. Iris looked around frantically, her mind racing. They can't stay here. Not tonight. Dorian said nothing. He was already calculating risks, consequences, the cost of what he was about to offer. There is a place, he said finally. An old church. Abandoned. 3 blocks east. It has a basement. Dry. Warm enough. You own it? I own many things in this city that no one knows about. Iris turned to the children. Will you come with me? Just for tonight. Somewhere dry. They looked to Dorian. Still seeking permission from a father who had never claimed them. He gave the smallest nod. The journey took 15 minutes. Dorian led, moving through side streets and back alleys with the confidence of someone who owned the night. Iris followed with the children clustered around her, their small hands clutching her coat. The church rose before them, gothic and crumbling. Dorian produced a key from nowhere and opened a side door. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old wood. He led them down stone steps into a basement that had been converted into something livable. Blankets. Pillows. Supplies. Iris stared. You prepared this. I prepare for many possibilities. How long has this been here? 3 weeks. Since the nights grew colder. She looked at him with new eyes. You do care. Caring and claiming are not the same thing. The children scattered to the blankets, exhausted. The smallest girl curled into a corner, clutching a pillow. Iris moved through them, checking each one, tucking blankets, smoothing hair. Dorian watched from the shadows. You are good with them, he said quietly. I just treat them like they matter. Most people do not. Iris straightened and faced him. They were alone now, the children settling into sleep. The basement felt smaller suddenly. More intimate. Why haven't you asked my name, she said. Because names create connection. And connection creates complications. I think we are past that now. He studied her for a long moment. Dorian. Iris. The name sat between them, a bridge neither had intended to build. You cannot keep doing this, Iris. His voice was careful, controlled. My world will see you as a threat. Or worse, an opportunity. And what will they see the children as? Mistakes. Abominations. Evidence of my weakness. Her eyes flashed. They are not mistakes. I know. The admission came quietly, loaded with centuries of regret. Iris sat on one of the crates, exhaustion finally catching up with her. I don't understand your world. I don't understand how someone can create life and then just walk away from it. Dorian moved closer, drawn by something he could not name. I have lived 800 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have commanded armies and crushed enemies. But I have never been as terrified as I was tonight when that woman threatened you. Iris looked up sharply. Why? Because you are the first truly good thing I have seen in a very long time. And good things do not survive proximity to me. The confession hung in the air, raw and unguarded. Iris stood slowly, closing the distance between them until she could see the weight of centuries in his eyes. Maybe I am stronger than you think. Or maybe you do not yet understand what you are risking. Then tell me. But before he could answer, a sound echoed from above. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving through the church. Dorian's entire body went rigid. His eyes flashed crimson. They found us, he whispered. And Iris realized that the night was far from over. Dorian moved within human speed, placing himself between the stairs and the children. Stay with them, he commanded Iris. No matter what you hear, do not come upstairs. What is happening? My counsel. They have been tracking me. He was gone before she could respond, disappearing up the stone steps like smoke. Iris rushed to the children, gathering them close. They were awake now, eyes wide with fear. The oldest boy gripped her arm. If they find us, they will kill us. No one is killing anyone, Iris whispered, praying she was not lying. Above, she heard voices. Cold. Authoritative. My lord, you have been absent from court for weeks. Always on Thursday nights. Always to this district. That was not Dorian. Someone else. Dorian's reply was ice. I was not aware I needed permission to move through my own city, Cassian. Of course not, my lord. But the council grows concerned. There are rumors. There are always rumors. These involve the half-bloods, the forsaken children. Some say you have been protecting them. A pause. Iris held her breath. And if I have? The silence that followed was crushing. Another voice joined, older, sharper. Then you violate the very laws you created. The laws that have kept our kind safe for 5 centuries. No half-bloods. No compromise. No exceptions. I am aware of my own laws, Victor. Then you understand the penalty for breaking them. Exile. Or death. Iris's hand flew to her mouth. The children pressed closer. Dorian's voice dropped to something deadly. You would threaten your king? We would save our king from his own weakness, Victor replied. These creatures are not your children. They are proof of your failure to control your hungers. They endanger us all simply by existing. They are innocent. They are impossible. Human enough to need food and warmth. Vampire enough to never belong in that world. They will go mad by their 20th year. You know this. You have seen it before. The word struck Iris like a blow. She looked at the children, horror spreading through her chest. The oldest boy would not meet her eyes. Is that true? She whispered to him. He nodded once, sharp and bitter. We do not live long. The blood fights itself. Most of us die before we become adults. The ones who do not die go insane. How old are you? 14. I have maybe 6 years left. Tears burned Iris's eyes. She pulled him closer, then all of them, gathering these borrowed children into her arms like she could protect them from biology itself. Upstairs, Dorian spoke again, and this time his voice carried something Iris had not heard before. Pain. I loved their mothers, he said quietly. Each one. I thought I could control it. Thought I could have one human lifetime of warmth before returning to the cold. But humans die, and they leave behind pieces of themselves. These children are all I have left of women I failed to save. Victor's response was merciless. Then you should have let them fade mercifully instead of prolonging their suffering. Kill them, my lord. Give them the kindness of a quick end. No. Then we will. The sound of movement. A scuffle. Dorian's voice turned to a roar that shook the building. You will not touch them. Power exploded through the church. Iris felt it like a shockwave, ancient and terrible. The children whimpered. She held them tighter. When the noise settled, Dorian spoke again, each word carved from stone. I am your king. I have led you through wars and plagues and centuries of darkness. I have earned the right to mercy. These children will live out what time they have in peace. Anyone who harms them answers to me. Is that understood? Silence. Then Cassian, carefully. Yes, my lord. Leave. Now. Footsteps retreated. A door slammed. And then there was only quiet. Minutes passed before Dorian descended the stairs. He looked older somehow, wearier. When his eyes found Iris still holding the children, something in his expression broke. You heard. All of it. He sat heavily on the bottom step, centuries of control crumbling. Their mothers were artists, teachers, healers. Women who saw light in a creature of darkness. I was selfish. I took what I wanted and told myself I could protect them from the consequences. But vampires and humans were never meant to mix. The children pay for my arrogance with their lives. The smallest girl, the one with dark curls, pulled away from Iris and walked to Dorian. She climbed into his lap with the trust only children possess. He stiffened, clearly unaccustomed to touch, but he did not push her away. "Mama said you loved her," the girl whispered. "Before she died, she said you were good. She said you were just scared." Dorian closed his eyes, agony written across his face. "What was her name, little one?" "Catherine. She painted flowers. I remember." His voice cracked. "I have every painting she ever made." Iris felt tears slip down her cheeks. This was not a monster. This was a man drowning in grief and guilt, punishing himself by watching his children suffer from a distance because he believed he had no right to comfort. She moved to sit beside him on the step. "How long do we have?" she asked quietly. "Truly? The oldest will deteriorate first. Mood swings, aggression, loss of control. Then the madness. The younger ones have more time, but not much. A handful of years at most. And there is no cure? No way to save them? I have searched for 800 years. There is none." Iris looked at the children, her heart breaking and rebuilding itself around a truth she had not expected. She had weeks, maybe months, to give these children something they had never had. Love. Safety. Family. It would not save them. But it might matter anyway. She reached out and placed her hand over Dorian's. He flinched at the contact, staring at their joined hands like he had forgotten what human warmth felt like. "Then we do not waste the time they have left," she said firmly. Dorian turned to her, something like hope flickering in his ancient eyes. "Why would you do this? You owe us nothing." Iris smiled through her tears. "Maybe that is exactly why I can." And for the first time in 800 years, Dorian felt something he thought had died centuries ago. He felt less alone. Iris looked at the children, then back at Dorian. "If we are going to do this, I need to know I am not alone in this fight. I need to know you are willing to step out of the shadows." Dorian met her gaze, and slowly, he nodded. "It was a beginning. You know, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Are you listening to this late at night, feeling these emotions with us? Are you halfway across the world, finding comfort in this story? Drop a comment below and tell me where you are enjoying this from. It means more than you know to connect with you. And if you have not subscribed yet, welcome to the family. Join the fastest growing vampire love stories community. We have so much planned for you, and trust me, you are special and you will not want to miss what is coming next. The next 3 weeks became a routine Iris had not known she needed. Every evening after work, she went to the church basement. She brought food, blankets, books. Dorian was always there before her, waiting in the shadows like he had been doing for months. But now he stepped into the light. At first, the children did not know what to do with him. He was their father, but he was also a stranger. A king made of marble and distance. Iris watched him struggle. Watched him sit rigidly while the smallest girl tried to braid his hair. Watched him flinch when the twin girls laughed at something he said. He did not know how to be soft. Did not know how to be needed in ways that had nothing to do with power. "You are trying too hard," Iris told him one night. They were sitting on the floor, the children finally asleep around them. "They do not need you to be perfect. They just need you to be present." "I do not know how to do that." "Yes, you do. You have been present for months. You just did it from a distance." He looked at the sleeping children, his expression unreadable. I was afraid that if I got too close, I would make it worse when they are gone. And now? Now I am still afraid. But I am more afraid of them dying without knowing I love them. Iris's heart twisted. She reached over and took his hand. He did not pull away this time. "Tell me about their mothers," she said softly. Dorian was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to speak, his voice low and threaded with memory. Catherine painted flowers because she said the world had enough darkness. She lived in Paris in 1899. She died of tuberculosis 3 years after our daughter was born. I could not save her. Vampire blood can turn an adult, but it cannot cure disease without the transformation. She refused to become what I am. Said she would rather have 3 human years than 300 vampire ones. He paused, his thumb tracing absent circles on Iris's palm. Amara was a teacher in Cairo. 1920, she taught children to read in a school that barely had books. She was killed during a riot. I was too late. Our son survived only because a neighbor hid him. By the time I found him, he was 2 years old and did not know my face. Iris listened, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. May was a healer in Shanghai. She delivered babies in the poorest districts. I watched her for a year before I ever spoke to her. She was the one who approached me. She said she could see the loneliness in my eyes. We had 7 months together before she hemorrhaged in childbirth. The twins survived. She did not. His voice broke on the last sentence. I am a creature of immortality, Iris. I have lived through centuries. But I could not keep any of them alive. Every woman I have ever loved has died because of me. And their children are dying because I was too selfish to stay away. Iris squeezed his hand tighter. You loved them. That is not selfish. That is human. I am not human. No. But you are not a monster either. Dorian turned to look at her, really look at her. In the candlelight, she was soft and warm and alive. Everything his world was not. Why are you here, Iris? Truly. You could have walked away a dozen times. She smiled, sad and honest. Because I know what it feels like to be invisible. I have spent my entire life being the person no one notices. The friend no one calls. The woman men look past. I thought if I was just kind enough, useful enough, someone would finally see me. But no one ever did. I see you. The words were simple. But the way he said them made her breath catch. I have watched you for months, Dorian continued. I have seen you give everything and ask for nothing. I have seen you choose kindness when the world gave you every reason to choose bitterness. You are not invisible, Iris. You are luminous. The world is just too blind to notice. Iris felt something crack open inside her chest. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever looked at her the way Dorian was looking at her now. Like she mattered. Like she was worth crossing centuries for. I think you are a better father than you believe, she whispered. I think you are a better woman than you know. The space between them felt charged, fragile. Like one wrong move would shatter whatever was building. The oldest boy, the 14-year-old, stirred in his sleep and murmured something incoherent. Dorian stood immediately, moving to check on him. He adjusted the blanket, his movements careful, almost tender. Iris watched him and felt her heart do something dangerous. She was falling for him. For this ancient, broken king who loved his children from the shadows because he thought he had no right to the light. When Dorian returned to sit beside her, she leaned her head against his shoulder. He went still, then slowly, carefully, wrapped an arm around her. They sat like that for a long time, two lonely people who had found each other in the wreckage. What happens when they are gone? Iris asked quietly. I do not know. Will you disappear back into the shadows? Dorian tilted her chin up so she was looking at him. His wine-dark eyes were serious, intent. I do not think I can go back to the dark. Not after knowing what it feels like to be seen by you. Iris's breath hitched. Dorian, I know this is impossible. I know I have nothing to offer you but danger and darkness. But if you asked me to stay, I would. For as long as you would have me. It was not a declaration of love. Not yet. But it was a promise. And it was enough. Iris reached up and touched his face, her fingers tracing the sharp line of his jaw. He leaned into the touch like a man starving. Stay, she whispered. And he did. For 2 more weeks, they built something fragile and beautiful. Dorian taught the children their history, the truth of what they were. Iris taught them games and songs and how to laugh without fear. Together, they created a pocket of warmth in the cold. But the world outside was not kind. And it was not patient. Iris arrived at the church one Thursday evening to find Dorian pacing like a caged animal. The children were huddled in the corner, silent and terrified. What happened? Dorian turned to her, his eyes blazing red. The council issued an ultimatum. I have 1 week to destroy the half-bloods, or they will do it themselves and remove me from the throne. Iris felt the blood drain from her face. They cannot do that. They can. And they will. Victor has been gathering support for months. He has convinced half the council that I am unfit to lead. That my attachment to these children makes me weak. So we run. We take the children and we disappear. To where, Iris? I am the vampire king. There is nowhere in this world I can hide that they will not find me. And you are human. Fragile. Mortal. They will kill you just to prove a point. Then what do we do? Dorian stopped pacing and faced her. His expression was shattered, desperate. I do the only thing I can do. I choose my throne over them. I walk away and let the council handle it. Iris stared at him, disbelief turning to fury. You cannot be serious. It is the only way to keep you safe. I do not care about safe. I care about them. And I care about you. The words exploded out of him, raw and unguarded. I have lived 800 years, Iris. I have lost everyone I have ever loved. I cannot lose you too. So you will let them die? Your own children? They are dying anyway. At least this way, you survive. The oldest boy stood up, his face twisted with rage and betrayal. We trusted you. She trusted you. Dorian flinched like he had been struck. The boy continued, his voice shaking. You are exactly what they said you were. A coward. A king who hides behind laws he is too weak to break. You do not understand. I understand perfectly. You only love us when it is convenient. When it does not cost you anything. Dorian's hands clenched into fists. I am trying to protect you. No. You are trying to protect yourself. Just like you always have. The words hit their mark. Dorian staggered back like he had been stabbed. Iris stepped between them, her own anger a living thing. He is right. You are choosing the easy way out. You are choosing to keep your power instead of fighting for them. I am choosing to keep you alive. I never asked you to. I never asked you to save me. I asked you to be their father. Dorian's control shattered. I do not know how. I do not know how to be what they need. I am a monster, Iris. I have killed thousands. I have razed cities and ended bloodlines. I am not capable of the kind of love you think I am. Then you are right, Iris said coldly. You are a monster. And I was a fool to believe otherwise. The silence that followed was suffocating. Dorian looked at her, at the children, at the fragile family they had built. And then he did the thing he had done for 800 years. He ran. One moment he was there. The next, he was gone. Iris sank to the floor, her body shaking with sobs. The children gathered around her, and together they wept for the father who had left them again. Outside, Dorian stood in the rain and felt the weight of 8 centuries crash down on him. He had finally found something worth saving. And he had destroyed it with his own hands. 3 days passed in silence. Iris went to work, came home, stared at her apartment walls. She had moved the children to a safer location, a shelter run by a woman who asked no questions. They were fed, warm, but they were hollow. The oldest boy had not spoken since Dorian left. The smallest girl kept asking when Papa was coming back. Iris had no answer. She sat on her couch on the 3rd night, exhaustion weighing her down. She had been invisible her whole life. Then for a few perfect weeks, she had mattered. She had been seen. She had been part of something bigger than herself. And now it was gone. Her phone sat on the coffee table, dark and silent. Part of her wanted to call him, wanted to scream at him, wanted to beg him to come back. But she did not even have his number, did not know where he lived beyond vague mentions of a mansion. He was a king, and she was nobody. The thought settled over her like ash. Maybe he had been right. Maybe this had always been impossible. Across the city, Dorian sat alone in his study. The council was meeting in the hall below, finalizing plans. They would move on the children in 2 days. Quick. Efficient. Merciful, they called it. Murder, he knew it to be. Cassian had tried to speak with him. Had been turned away. Victor had come with documents to sign, transferring certain powers in preparation for Dorian's likely abdication. He had signed them without reading. What did any of it matter now? He had ruled for 500 years. Had built an empire in the shadows. Had commanded respect and fear in equal measure. And he had never been more powerless than he was right now. The boy's words circled in his mind like vultures. You only love us when it is convenient. You are a coward. You are trying to protect yourself. Every word true. Every word a knife. He had told himself he was saving Iris, protecting her from his world. But the truth was uglier than that. He was protecting himself from the pain of losing her. Just like he had protected himself by keeping the children at a distance. By loving them only from the shadows where love could not demand anything of him. He stood and walked to the window. The city sprawled below, indifferent and vast. Somewhere out there, Iris was alone. The children were frightened. And he was here, hiding behind duty and law and 800 years of carefully constructed control. His reflection stared back at him from the glass. Ancient. Cold. Empty. Is this who you want to be? A voice whispered in his mind. It sounded like Catherine. Like Amara. Like May. Like every woman he had loved and failed. Is this who you want to be when the end comes? Dorian closed his eyes. He had spent centuries surviving. Maybe it was time to start living. even if it cost him everything. He turned from the window and walked out of his study, down the marble stairs, past the council chambers where Victor was holding court, out into the night. He had a choice to make. And for the first time in 800 years, he chose love over fear. Iris was half asleep on the couch when the knock came. Soft, hesitant. She opened the door and froze. Dorian stood in the hallway, drenched from the rain. His hair hung in wet strands around his face. His eyes were raw, desperate. "I am a coward," he said before she could speak. "You were right. I have spent 800 years running from anything that could hurt me. I loved their mothers from a distance. I loved my children from the shadows. And I was about to love you the same way. By leaving before you could see how broken I really am." Iris gripped the doorframe, her heart hammering. "But I do not want to run anymore," Dorian continued, his voice breaking. "I do not want to choose safety. I do not want to die having never fought for the people I love. So I am here. And I am asking you to give me one more chance. Not to be perfect. Not to have all the answers. But to stand beside you and fight like hell for the time we have left." Iris felt tears streaming down her face. "Your council will kill you. Probably. You will lose your throne. I do not care. Dorian, you cannot just throw away 800 years because of me." He stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face with a gentleness that shattered her. "Iris. Those 800 years were survival. You are the first thing that has ever felt like living. If I have to choose between an eternity of darkness and a handful of days in your light, I choose you. Every single time." She could not breathe. Could not think. Could only feel the weight of his words settling into her bones. "What about the children?" His jaw tightened with resolve. "I have a plan. It is dangerous. It will likely get me killed. But there is a chance. A small one. And I am going to take it. Tell me. There is an ancient law. Older than my reign. Older than the council. It states that a king may invoke trial by choice. If I can prove that the half-bloods deserve life, that they have value beyond their blood, the council must honor it. But the trial is decided by combat. I would have to fight Victor and anyone who stands with him. Can you win? I do not know. Victor is old, strong, and he will not fight fair." Iris grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. "Then we make sure you do not fight alone." Dorian stared at her. "You cannot fight beside me. You are human. I am not talking about fighting with swords, you stubborn vampire. I am talking about giving you a reason to win." She kissed him then, hard and desperate and full of every emotion she had been holding back. He froze for half a second, then kissed her back like she was air and he had been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both were shaking. "Come back to me," Iris whispered against his lips. "Fight your trial. Save those children. And come back to me." Dorian rested his forehead against hers. "I will. I swear it. Promise me." "I promise." She kissed him once more, softer this time. A benediction. A prayer. Then she stepped back and let him go. Dorian walked into the rain, into the night, into the fight that would decide everything. And for the first time in 800 years, he was not afraid. Iris watched him disappear into the darkness, her heart in her throat. She believed in him. Had to believe in him. Because the alternative was unthinkable. "I want to pause here and ask you something. Have you ever loved someone enough to let them walk into danger? Have you ever had to trust that love is stronger than fear? Tell me in the comments what you think Iris is feeling right now. And if this story is gripping your heart the way it is gripping mine, hit that subscribe button. Join our family. We are building the fastest growing vampire love stories community, and we have so many more stories planned that will make you feel, make you believe, and remind you why love is always worth the fight. You are special, and I do not want you to miss a single moment. The council chamber had not seen a trial by choice in 3 centuries. But the ancient law could not be denied. Dorian stood in the center of the stone floor, facing Victor and 3 other council members who had chosen to stand against him. The children sat in guarded seats along the wall, required witnesses by law. Iris had fought her way in, ignoring protests, and stood beside them. Victor smiled, cold and confident. You invoke an ancient right for creatures that should not exist. This is foolishness, Dorian. This is love, Dorian replied. Something you have long forgotten. The fight was brutal. Victor was strong, fast, vicious. He fought with the cruelty of someone who had nothing to lose. Dorian fought with the desperation of someone who had everything to gain. Blood spilled on ancient stone. Dorian took a blade to the shoulder, another to the ribs. But he did not fall. Because every time he faltered, he heard Iris's voice. Come back to me. He thought of Catherine's paintings. Amara's school. May's healing hands. He thought of the children he had abandoned and the woman who had loved them when he could not. And he stopped fighting like a king. He started fighting like a father. The tide turned. Dorian was older than Victor. Had survived longer. Had endured more. And he had something Victor did not. A reason beyond power. When Victor finally fell, the chamber went silent. Dorian stood over him, breathing hard, bleeding from a dozen wounds. Yield. Victor spat blood. You have gone soft. No. I have finally learned what strength actually is. He turned to the council. The trial is complete. The half-bloods live. Anyone who touches them answers to me. Not as your king. As their father. Cashin stepped forward and bowed his head. One by one, the others followed. It was over. Dorian's legs nearly gave out, but then small hands caught him. The children surrounded him, holding him up. The smallest girl looked up at him with those silver-flecked eyes. Papa, she whispered. This time, he answered. Yes, little one. I am here. And I am not leaving again. Iris pushed through and threw her arms around all of them. Dorian pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. He was shaking, exhausted, but whole. You came back, she whispered. I promised. She pulled back to look at him, tears streaming down her face. What happens now? Dorian glanced at the children, then back at her. Now we figure out how to be a family. However much time we have, we do not waste it. And your throne? He smiled, tired but genuine. I will keep it. But I will no longer let it keep me. I have lived in darkness for 800 years, Iris. I think it is time I learned to live in the light. She kissed him then, in front of the entire council, in front of the children, in front of everyone. And Dorian kissed her back, unashamed. When they finally broke apart, the oldest boy was watching them with something that looked like hope. So what do we call you? He asked Iris. You have been feeding us for months. Taking care of us. Loving us when no one else would. Iris looked at Dorian, who nodded. She knelt down to the boy's level. Whatever you want. I am not trying to replace anyone. But I am here. And I am staying. The smallest girl tugged on her sleeve. Can we call you Mama? Iris's breath caught. She looked at these 6 impossible children, these beautiful broken miracles, and felt her heart expand to hold all of them. Yes, she whispered. I would love that. The months that followed were not easy. The oldest boy's condition began to deteriorate, just as Dorian had warned. But he did not face it alone. He had a father who held him through the worst nights. A mother who refused to let him disappear into despair. Siblings who stayed close. When he finally passed on a quiet Tuesday morning, he died holding both their hands. Thank you, he whispered with his last breath. For seeing us. They buried him in a garden behind the old church. Dorian planted a tree over his grave. Catherine's favorite kind. The other children knew their time was limited. But they no longer spent it hiding. Dorian used every resource, every contact, every fragment of ancient knowledge to search for a cure. And 3 years later, in a crumbling text from a forgotten monastery, he found it. Not a cure, but a choice. A ritual. Dangerous. Painful. With no guarantee of success. But it could stabilize the blood. Give them a chance at a full life. 4 of the 5 children survived the ritual. They would never be fully vampire or fully human. But they would live. They would grow. They would have futures. And they would have parents who fought heaven and hell to give them that chance. Dorian stood in the garden 5 years after that first night in the alley. Iris stood beside him, her hand in his. The children were inside, laughing over dinner. Alive. Safe. Whole. Do you regret it? Iris asked quietly. Giving up the darkness? Dorian pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. I did not give up anything, my love. I traded 800 years of surviving for a lifetime of living. That is not sacrifice. That is salvation. I love you, she whispered. And I love you. My light. My heart. My home. Inside, one of the children called for them. Dinner was ready. Dorian took Iris's hand, and together they walked toward the warmth. Toward the family they had built from broken pieces. Toward the life neither of them had believed they deserved. But love, they had learned, was not about deserving. It was about choosing. Every single day. And they chose each other. So that is their story. A vampire king who learned to love in the light. A woman who learned she was never invisible. And children who learned they were always worth saving. Before you go, I have one last question for you. What moment in this story touched you the most? Was it when Dorian finally answered his daughter? When Iris stood between danger and innocence? When love finally won? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your words mean the world to me. And if you loved this story, if it made you feel something real, then please subscribe. Join our family. We are the fastest growing vampire love stories community, and we have so many more tales of love, redemption, and impossible choices waiting for you. You are special. You are seen. And I cannot wait to share the next story with you. Until then, remember this, love is not about deserving. It is about choosing. Choose love. Every single time.